person. We're really lucky to have the two co-founders of Triple Step Studios, Jess Kim and Kati Arikoski-Johnson. So maybe let's give them a round of applause. It's definitely safe to say that when I moved to the swing scene here 4 years ago, the swing scene was really healthy and good, but in the last 4 years it's gotten better and better, and I think a lot of that has to do with the hard work of really everyone in this room that's out here supporting like what you guys do in the community here in Atlanta. Doesn't go unnoticed and has definitely made the experience for everyone here a lot better. So thank you to everyone who's here today. Also, we want to welcome our third panelist in person, Spencer Murril. Spencer's really the true star of this thing because he's the puppeteer behind the puppet that you guys have cheered for, I think, every time we saw him on screen. So it'll be good to hear from all of them here today. So I'm going to get started, and Spencer, just for you, with being your introduced to the Lindy Hop scene, but more so in the broader art scene, get your opinions just kind of on the state of Atlanta's creative community and the arts, and then also like maybe what were the surprises or things you didn't expect about being involved with this project when you got on set?
Oh sure, yeah, there's a number of things for the second one. Yeah, I mean, as far as the arts community, I work in a real specialized sort of field, and we're a pretty tight-knit community. I would imagine it's the same way with dance. You tend to run into the same people, and so it's a really good time. I think anybody that's involved in sort of creating things, you have a lot of opportunities, but we're still sort of an underdog city, and you have Atlanta is still sort of like, in a sense, proving itself on a larger stage. I think like videos like that you guys just made are an important part of that. And so it's just a really fun time to be a part of sort of like in the art scene. And yeah, just a ton of interesting opportunities like this one. So.
Awesome. Anything memorably funny that happened on set or anything that you weren't expecting with Lindy Hoppers?
Yeah, well, it was, I have to say that like, Jess, I think honestly, we should give her another round of applause for directing this. Like, I didn't really like when you were able to take something that could have been really stressful. We went all over the city and got a bunch of amazing footage, and it wasn't necessarily easy, but it was you made it really fun. And so yeah, like there's little stories behind like almost every situation you see us in, and they were all pretty fun and like. Really interesting, so it was, yeah.
Awesome. I see him like lying down on the different crowns and hiding behind every statue, and Roxy is there. It was pretty amazing to see how it actually like.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm used to, and I'm always, when people that haven't worked with puppets a lot, like, you get on the ground, you get on the floor, and put yourself in weird positions, and I'm used to it. I don't mind it at all. But normally, like, you get on set, you wouldn't ask an actor to like turn themselves into a ball and fit inside a tiny little box, but as a puppeteer, I'm always just like happy to do it, just so I can get out.
And then dancing, learning Roxy to dance.
Oh yeah, that was it was a challenge, but it was totally worth it. Like you guys saw the shot in the very beginning where you see her full body, and obviously there's not a hand or a puppeteer in there, and that was a special effects shot. And so
I think we're going to get a perfect transition into our next guest who actually submitted stuff from London, Ken Wallace. Many of you know Ken, some don't. He's kind of our official dance family local, although he's only lived on and off in Atlanta over the last 2 years for work. But Ken, we kind of reached out to him and consulted, Triple Step Studios did, with advice on getting a good kind of economical way to get a puppet to dance. And very interestingly enough, it's something that Ken knew how to solve for us, and that's why we got the video that we did. Essentially what we did is broke it down into 3 parts, with filming the puppet and the puppeteer by themselves, then did a second shot with the dancers only, and then a third shot with just the background. And that allowed, with visual effects magic, to essentially use that editing that he does to empty the background to get rid of the puppeteer, and then also add in the dancers once the puppeteer was removed. So pretty cool stuff. I know Ken shared also that the visual effects work technically was done by a favor to our production from Soho Visual Effects in Toronto, Canada. So we definitely want to give them a thanks. As a fun fact, Soho Visual Effects also recently completed a pretty big project on a little larger scale in 2020, one of the top grossing pictures of the year, Bad Boys for Life. So we want to So thank you, Ken, and thank you to so many friends we have in this community. Next up, I guess, wanted to pass the baton to Jess. Just Jess, in talking about kind of taking a look at all the different iCharleston videos that we have around the country and cities all over the world too. How did you kind of approach this project and making it unique and kind of stand alone by itself?
Sure. Well, I feel like we all know the Atlanta community is especially unique. There's some really special individuals here. So I didn't know about iCharleston. Kati was like, you know, we should make an iCharleston. I was like, I don't know what that is. Is that an Apple product? No, it's this video thing. We watched, and I feel like a lot of them didn't have like a plot line, and I really wanted to like capture the Atlanta's rich jazz history and like the joy of rediscovering dance. So I got some of my scriptwriters from my comedy group, Brandon Stringfield and Sarah Stevens, together, and we collaborated and came up with this really short, simple script. And then the unique parts of the video are just things that we didn't expect. Like that man doing one-arm push-ups on Marta. He just saw us dancing. He was like, my mom danced Charleston. He just got on the ground and started doing this. I'm like, okay, well, can we film you? And he was like, I don't care. And like Oakland Cemetery, we only got that shot because the guard went to go like on a bathroom break.
And CNN too, like,
yeah, CNN
couple, like, stop,
yeah, that's why we had to overlay that song, because you just hear people yelling at us like in the background. But it was such a fun experience, and we had such a good team, like from the special effects and the editing to puppeting and choreography. It was just such a good experience. I loved it. Yeah.
Awesome. And I think the neat thing too, like just from watching some of the other videos, like there's amazing dancers all over the world, and we didn't necessarily have the best dancers in the world in our video, but we made the most of what we had with puppets and other fun tricks along the way. So I think that's kudos to the team that put it together.
Some of the iCharleston teams kind of cheated, and they shot theirs during like a national event. So they had like all the best dancers, and it was tons of people. So we beat them.
Yeah, Copenhagen made it during the Lean Copenhagen Indie Exchange, so they had like 500 people in their shows.
Good stuff. And next up, Dana had submitted some comments. Again, he regretted he couldn't be here with us in person today. I think he was looking forward to being here for the event. And some of you danced with him a few weeks ago where he brought the band out and we recorded some stuff and played. So he's definitely been like an unofficial real champion for the Triple Step Studios organization. He shared that Bill Graham from Hot Club of Atlanta actually wrote this song in one day for us, which is pretty amazing, under the guidance of Kati with style and tempo that she shared. So very quickly put together, the band went down into Dana's basement in a practice room, recorded with no technology other than microphones, so didn't use computers, was very old school, honestly very true to like how jazz used to be made, which is pretty awesome. And maybe we hear some of that in the sound and the song itself, because it does have like a little bit of an old school flavor. They recorded it in just 2 takes too, opting to use the second version that they recorded, which is pretty awesome. And kind of despite the imperfections in the recording, he really liked the bouncy vibe that he felt with it, so he just wanted to roll with it as he thought it would really work well for dancers. And one other thing that he did want to share was that the chord changes that they used were inspired by an old song standard, I've Got a New Baby, and so the feel of the piece was based off of that, somewhat and inspired. And as an aside, the baritone sax was actually played by Dana's 16-year-old son, Max. It was the first time that Max had ever been recorded for anything. So, Triple Step Studios is all about like youth dance promotion with some of the things that we've done with the How Big Is Your Dream Foundation and other things with promoting youth dancing and education. So, kind of cool that we had a 16-year-old getting his first exposure in our original song too. And I guess last but not least of the questions I'm going to, present to the panelists. Kati, just wanted to chat with you a little bit more, get your take on what your process was like putting together this choreography. I know you've done a handful of choreography pieces for us now, what that looked like, and maybe first we can start there.
I was in jet lag, totally 2 a.m. in Finland. I was like, I need to get this shit together right now. I put the song on, and normally when
We'll edit that out, by the way.
don't have a set way to do it. I just start to move. I knew that it was a Charleston, so 20s Charleston was the basic, and then I hear a melody, okay, long notes, what can I do with long notes? Oh, my feet could sweep a little bit to the side. So this is how I work. So really improvisational way of combining steps to the rhythm and what I hear the instruments do. So that's pretty much me experimenting the music and the movement, and then I'm videotaping myself and looking like, okay, that does not look good, let's change that. And then we worked a little bit together with Jess too, so with the choreography, and we filmed it when we were in Nevermore. And then
St. Louis.
Yes, St. Louis, and then jazz workshop, and then we taught it to a bunch of people here in Atlanta.
Awesome. And then like one closing question just for you. The second part of that question was just going to be like where you see the Atlanta scene going and what you're most excited about in the year to come.
So I'd like the swing community to grow and be bigger, and as you mentioned about the possible cooperation with the foundation, how big is your dream, and working with youth and get the next generation to dance, and then as in the video you can see that the youth can make inspiration and make the adults dancing too, so make that all, make the world dancing again. So make the Atlanta swing scene bigger, and we can only do that together. So inviting your friends to come along and dance and learning to dance. And it doesn't really matter what style it is. I mean, swing is a big umbrella of different styles, and a true swing dancer can do a lot of different styles. So like spreading the style and knowledge around Atlanta. So that's my personal goal.
Awesome.
I want Atlanta to happen.
Yeah, and then one thing too, like later this month, Triple Sub Studios will be celebrating a 1-year anniversary, and they have a live band coming the end of April. So we'll send you more details on that. But I think one thing all of us would love to see a little bit more of is live music to dance to in the city of Atlanta. We have a lot of great musicians here, so more to come. And certainly this organization will try to continue to bring more live music and just all the different things that really add to the dance community. So keep your eyes peeled, and now we'll open up to questions. If we have anyone in the audience that's curious to ask the panelists anything about the project.
Do you want to dance?
Alan had a question.
I really like the narrative, the way it began, being a native of Atlanta. Can you comment a little bit about the choice of location and the starting of it and what you were trying to communicate?
Sure. So we picked a house that's in the Candler Park neighborhood because it's kind of a traditionally African-American neighborhood historically, and it's just my friend lives there and it was free, so that was yeah. Actually, that's another special effects. Her dog walked through one of the puppet dancing scenes, and we had to like slice it out, like in post. Yeah. So we chose that, and we've decided to start with our lovely child actor is here, Adisa, if you want to raise your hand. Yeah, Adisa and her family were fabulous this entire time. We made them drive to like 70 locations in that day. They're like, don't know us. We're like a bunch of adults. We're just gonna run in the street and dance, and then it'll be fine. All right, let's go. And we just like ran out, and she was such a good sport. Great. Picked up the choreography super fast, and a lot of our locations, we tried to pick locations that are unique to Atlanta, so like the original Waffle House, or Martin Luther King Jr. used to swing dance, and so we obviously had to go to his memorial and get a bunch of shots, which is another sneaky shot, because there was a guard on one side of Ebenezer Church and not on the other, so we're like, Ebenezer, dancers. No. So yeah, for us, we really wanted to highlight that history, because Atlanta has such a rich jazz history, and it's kind of like sunk over the past couple of decades, so it would be nice to see a good revival.
I think it's awesome to note too that Martin Luther King Jr. was a Lindy Hopper, so there's a lot of significance behind his church where he used to preach, and his memorial garden where we had some dance scenes, being that early in his life he was inspired by the same dance and music that so many of us are in this room. So while we have you on stage, could we maybe steal a little bit of kind of what was the experience like? Did you enjoy being on set and seeing the dancing?
I enjoyed it, and when we were walking down the Rainbow Street, I was a little scared.
There were a lot of cars like honking to us, like, we have to step on Charleston, we're in the rainbow now.
And I see him in the officer, he was like, we can't dance. So yeah, it was fun.
her own. She's new to Charleston. She really knocked it out of the park with those dance moves too.
Yeah,
so.
I was like, okay, the Charleston, you know, the take step, and she's like,
Awesome. Anything else from the audience?
Great job, you guys.
Well, please give everyone a round of applause on the stage. Here. Now we're going to do what we think we all do best. We're going to clear out these chairs. We're going to get some good music going, and we're going to swing out. So
until
thanks
9
again,
o'clock,
everybody.
Andrew will be keeping us in the dance floor.
Thank you.